and welcome to another episode of the Project Get to Know podcast. My name is Emmanuel, and you can tell it's the chill version of the intro. This week I was editing on Sunday and immediately editing this episode, and the Super Flick Photography had an event with AAPW with their Heat Wave event that happened on Saturday, and it's been a very busy time editing the podcast and photos that happened this weekend. So here we are, and if you haven't followed this podcast on Spotify, definitely give us a follow, and also subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're hearing the audio episode right now. And the guest has been very interesting because I've seen Oli Summers in so many shows that we never really got a nice deep dive with his career. And we talk about how his training with AAPW and how much that led to the formation of Culture Shock, which is one of the bigger factions that had happened in the Texas wrestling scene, and how Oli changed from the hippie persona to now basically being the Lovestruck character. And you'll see why he got that name with Lovestruck in his character lately. So if you've never followed Oli or seen his work, you can find him on socials. You can find this show on the show notes. And yeah, let's dig deep. Let's get right into it with our conversation with Oli Summers. Well, Oli Summers, it's Flower Child, now it's Lovestruck. We'll talk about that later. And one thing, and you are one of the few wrestlers that I know someone by just their ring entrance. And we talked about this before we started recording, where I was listening to Be Sweet going to work and going home. And where did that come from? Were there any other songs that kind of came to mind, or was it Be Sweet kind of like your only ring entrance?
Yeah, so I started using Be Sweet. It was my first singles match at Inspire against Dimitri, because I really liked at Inspire where it's like, oh, if you come out with your stable, then you do this theme song. But then Danny started coming out to the Turnstile song, and I was like, oh, this is actually sick. Like, I want to make a big deal whenever it's my thing. And with Be Sweet, it was a song that someone on my personal account had like posted on her story, and I heard like a little clip of it, or like, you know, the album had just released or something like that. And I was listening to the album on the way to wrestling practice, and I was on the highway. I remember it very specifically. Like, I was on 183 going to wrestling practice, and Be Sweet's the second song on the album, and it starts hitting, and then the chorus hit, and I literally like did an over dramatic like, oh no, this is the best song I've ever heard. Oh my God. And then, you know, as I had come out to different songs before at AAPW, we have to use copyright free songs.
Yeah.
So like that was very limiting in that regard. I would do like demo versions of songs that I liked, that it was only the like low quality guitar and everything like that. But like fitting with the character and everything, and especially because we were heels, so coming out to something so poppy and so nice just felt like better in that regard. And then just as I've done this big old face turn, it's like it's just embodying that, you know, people want to like cheer for that now, and they just it brings a different energy as well to the like metal and the hardcore, like the and everything like that. It's just like
heelish.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, I'm gonna come out to a pop song and I'm still gonna hit you in the back of the head.
Only way to do it. Everyone will get a reaction out of it either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to training with Pops, and a lot of the guys here on this podcast have a lot of their success crediting to AAPW. What was that choice to go there? Out of all the wrestling schools that we have here in Texas, in Austin in particular, what was the one decision that says, hey, I'm going to train here and learn to become a wrestler in my career?
Yeah. So I'm from New Braunfels, and that's where I like lived my whole life. So it's like right in the middle of San Antonio and Austin. So when I first was like thinking about, oh, do I actually want to do this? Like, you know, back in like when I had just graduated like high school or whatever, I saw Delilah Doom at an Inspire show, and I was like, she's really cool. I want to look up where she trained. And it was like, oh my God, Funaki has a school in San Antonio? That's crazy. I would want to go there. And then I went to college, and my last semester of college is when the pandemic hit. And I was supposed to go to Germany for like a trip, like a graduation present to myself, and that didn't happen. So I got all the money back from that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna look at wrestling schools. And I was actually friends with Ethan Price, who also trained at AAPW.
Okay.
I knew him from his brother, who was in like local Austin metalcore band, who I like listened to when I was like 14 and stuff. So I had met him through that before he started wrestling. And so I messaged him like, hey, I'm your brother's friend. I want to be a wrestler. Where should I train at? Where did you train at? And he told me about AAPW. And this was before I knew that like Ricky had been there, who I also knew from Inspire as just like, oh, this guy's awesome. It was before I knew that like ACH was there, who is my favorite wrestler of all time. He's like the guy that when I found YouTube, like wrestling highlights, PWG stuff, his stuff was always the coolest. And so like, I didn't even know that he had trained there at that time. So that was a big shock whenever he came in. But like, I just took that and I joined AAPW. I like toured it and paid the down payment the same day. And I was just like, yep, I'm here. I'm going to be a wrestler now.
Did the Flower Child like character arise from AAPW, or was that later on in your career?
So that was definitely I was very lucky at the time. Steve Orino was still helping out, and he was such an ideas guy that he was always just asking people, what do you want for your character? What do you want for your character? What do you want? Because if you don't have an idea, then you're going to get given whatever Pops has, which is normally going to be some sort of like, what's the term? Like an archetype, you know,
Okay.
like, we've revived an Amish gimmick before. We've revived the American Eagle a million times, everything like that. And Steve-O was the guy that kind of kept me on track on just like asking about stuff. And I am such a big fan of Midsommar. It's one of my favorite movies.
I knew that was okay. I knew that was the inspiration.
Yeah. And then also at that time, the second season of the show Umbrella Academy had come out on Netflix, and one of their characters starts a hippie cult. And so like I was very hippie cult coded, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to grow out my hair, and I'll be a hippie, and I'll be like a secretly evil hippie and maybe start a cult, which didn't end up happening. But that was where the whole hippie thing came from.
Because out of that too, because Danny's been on before, and hopefully I can get CJC at scheduling. We'll see how this works. But you're known for having the faction with Culture Shock. Run us through what the heck happened. What the heck happened with Culture Shock?
Yeah, Culture Shock was literally a result of us being friends and being like, we want a team together. So like, you know, CJC debuted a couple of months before me and Danny. We started after him, and then he got injured in January, right before me and Danny debuted. We had our own paths, and then like we had a feud where we were like best friends. I betrayed him and everything like that. That's how I did my like heel turn in AAPW. And you know, cut to a couple months later, CJC's healing up. We're even more connected because like we had been checking on him. I'd been giving him rides to and from school. He had still been like going and everything like that. And like me and Danny just hit it off immediately. So like we were just like super close, and we were just like, hey Pops, we want to team together. Please let us team together. And it, you know, all the stars lined up and everything like that. And the hardest part of the night that we did that, which I think was the night that me and Danny won the tag belts, and the night that CJC won the Americas belt, the like main belt. That whole segment went really well. It was super cool. The hardest part of that night was like coming up with a name for it, for what we were going to be called, because we had a name. There used to be 5 of us that wanted to be in a group, and so we took all the initials of all of us and for like tried to come up with a name using those, and it ended up being called Violent Coda, which is like a violent
that's
end.
That's a little bit less appealing.
It's like a reach. It was like, okay, this is like a combination of all these things. And so we had this idea, and we're like, okay, we're going to do this whenever we get to team. And so Pops the day of is like, hey, what's your name? And we go, Violent Coda. And he goes, that's stupid. I don't know. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. And we like try to explain it. He's like, that's too, like, no one's going to get that. And so it was us, Pops, and Warsaw in Pops' office for straight up like 2 or 3 hours before the show started, just pitching names back and forth, back and forth. Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like, Warsaw was just Googling terms. He was like, this shock, blah, 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 blah. He says culture shock, and we're all like, that's stupid. Move on. And we're just going. Danny is Danny, so he starts like joking around. CJC, so he starts getting frustrated. I'm getting a little frustrated too. And we're like, hey guys, before we kill each other, before we even start a faction, we're going to take like a break. The show starts in like an hour. Let's take a break. Let's come back to it. And we just didn't come back to it. And we're just kind of like not wanting to talk about it. And so eventually I just like 5 minutes before the show, I'm just like, I go up to the other guys. I'm like, hey guys, culture shock. And they're like, fine, whatever. And I go up to Pops. I'm like, hey Pops, we're culture shock. And he's like, fine, whatever. And then we're culture shock.
And like, I want a show. Just get the name out. That's what
yeah, I just do it. Just whatever. And then, we ended like, and that was a whole thing. Cause culture shock's a term, it's like a difference of being in a different place and things are weird and everything like that. But we would not stop getting this thing of culture shock. Where's the culture? There's 2 white guys here. And it's like, that's not what it means. But
oh my God.
That was a thing the entire time that we were teaming together.
No, but it's kind of because it wasn't because there's 2 white guys in that faction, but the name kind of catches on. Mm-hmm. How much has the fans kind of like really given like, when did it become sentimental for the fans to get the culture shock name out there?
Dude, it was like, I think it was a combination of things. So like I came up with the night after the show, like the night of the show, I was in the shower afterwards. And I'm like, this looks like a C. This makes it an S. It's a lightning bolt. Oh my God.
I didn't even think about that.
Nobody thought about it. I thought too much about it, and everyone's just like, yeah, it's a lightning bolt, whatever. And like, but I remember like getting out of the shower, I'm in a towel because I'm so excited about it. And I like record a video to the group chat. I'm like, guys, it's a C, it's an S, it's a lightning bolt. But like,
it's almost like a scissor almost. It's like before it even
which is a problem. Yeah. But when we were heels, it gave people, culture shock. But like, I think the combination, and it was crazy because it was like the locker room first before the fans really cared about us as much. It was so much like we would go to locker rooms, and the combination of this, everyone would be backstage just like, yeah. Like, everyone's like, oh, culture shock. Hey guys.
Gang sign without even trying.
I'm saying. And then also the theme song, which is because of AAPW, it's copyright free music. It's like a dubstep copyright free song right. that CJC found, and everyone was just like, welcome to Neo Rome. Like everyone loved the song, everyone loved this, and it feels like that energy really just carried over into like, okay, these guys are fun.
Yeah, because like when you guys were doing it in Inspire, that was the thing I noticed too, where the differences in promotions, and you, Danny, and CJC were carrying the Culture Shock name. Did it have the same impact compared to what you're doing things in AAPW?
I think it was different in a way because like with AAPW, it was like the fans that were there, and it was a lot different back then. It was very on and off.
Right.
Like we would have a lot of shows where there were like 10 people, but they were the same 10 people. So like they had seen us grow and seen us do all these things, and so they had a really big connection there. And with Inspire, it was such a big, like different but still very big reaction because we came out attacking T-Ray and like just stormed him, beat him up, all that fun stuff. And then just like they kept on making us do run in after run in. There were some shows where we were in like 4 segments and people were like, I hate these fucking guys. Oh my God.
Though. I mean, the crowd
yeah,
got over.
Exactly. And I think, you know, again, with like in the locker room area, I think people backstage were really happy that we were finally getting the opportunity to be ourselves, because we had been like setting up for Inspire for over a year and a half at that point. Okay. And like we were under the masks for a long time before we got to do Culture Shock at all. Like we were I was under Red Scare, Mac or CJC was Hollywood Strangler, and Danny was The Void for a little while. And everyone was like, okay, yeah, y'all are here and on Inspire, but like, when are we going to get Culture Shock?
Yeah.
And so I think like that big thing, especially after the reveal of like, oh, Culture Shock is the masked guys, is like very big, like, but from the crowd of just like, okay, well, fuck these guys even more. What are they doing? What's going on here?
Did they exist? Like,
yeah.
And of course, like with that faction success, and you mentioned CGC getting the America's Championship and the tag belts, but for you guys to have the tag belts, and how much has AAPW really? Of course, with every champion, you're a face of the company, whether it's an Inspire, and we'll talk later on with New Texas. How much has trust kind of played into being the tag team champions over at AAPW?
I think it felt like a really big deal. You know, my first champion thing at AAPW was my heel turn, where I won 2 singles belts in the same night, like both of the mid-card belts. And that felt like, when I got told I was going to do that, I was like, I've been wrestling for like 3 months. What are you talking about? I'm not any good at all. What are you talking? But like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. But you sense like the pressure,
right?
With 2 belts. I mean, that's kind of like you're thrown in a frying pan at that point,
right? And so by the time we got to, you know, CJC winning the main belt, me and Danny winning the tag belts, it felt so cool. Just like, it's me and my boys, and we're champions, and we get to like go around and like be evil and little gremlins and stuff like that. But you know, at that point, that was right whenever me and Danny graduated, so we were also starting to like go with Adam to other places and try to get booked to other places and things like that. And so it did really feel like a big change, and like this is happening. This is like a real thing. Up. Yeah. So I think in that regard, it just felt really cool. Just like, yeah, just, hey, we're trusted to be doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. What was the title defense for AAPW that either surprised you or it was awesome to work with another tag team when you had your run with the tag team belts?
Oh man, it's so funny because I feel like I'm very jealous of Danny for writing down every single match that he's done, because he can go back and be like, oh, I did do this, because I didn't do that, and I keep on procrastinating starting. And so I'm just like, there are so many that I go back and I see of like, oh my god, I did this. That's weird. Yeah. I think Culture Shock versus Pretty Boy Rock, which was Shimbashi and Zane Valero.
Oh wow. I haven't heard that. I hadn't seen Valero in a while. Okay,
I miss him. Good. that I think was after we lost our belts, but it was a match that we had been asking for because we met them at this like very seedy show in Seguin, and it was like a bad time, but like we became friends that way.
Okay.
And like Shimbashi is one of my best friends now. And it's amazing. And so like just being able to have that experience and just like these are four dudes that are young and like want to really like prove themselves as the best, and we finally get to have a match against each other, and in this place that we care about. It's like I think that was just really insane, and just like being able to ask for like, hey, I want this opponent, and Pops being like, okay, have this.
Yeah.
I think was a really cool feeling too.
Because I was thinking about that too. When matches start to click, and I'm sure there's everyone's different. When we'll talk with the tag stuff. We'll get to singles later, but working with Danny, when does a match suddenly become amazing as you started to work a tag match in AAPW?
At AAPW, it was sort of a weird thing because at that time we were still like very much everything we were so excited about and just like wanting to do everything. And so we do everything and then we're like, that was so cool. And then we go back and look and we're like, oh, we messed up a lot of that stuff. But like,
it's good, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, there was a match against Pac Ortega and his tag team partner at the time. And the finish was like such a simple thing of like, oh, I hit this move. He puts his foot on the rope and Danny shoves the foot off the rope before the ref can see it. And that was the finish. That was the first, like, you know, not a super indie, not a like super work rate finish or anything like that. It was just a clever finish, a like wrestling trope finish. But it worked really well and the crowd reacted super awesome to it. I think that was the first time that it clicked, like especially at AAPW, of just like, there's something to this wrestling thing that doesn't need to be the most complicated thing ever. But I also love the fun, complicated, like tag wrestling is my favorite type of wrestling. So I love a sequence of like long, big breakups, people fighting, go for a tag thing. No, this other guy counters and you do all this. I love all that kind of stuff, but I also have an appreciation for being able to make something simple.
Yeah. And with New Texas, having the tag team titles for a span of time. And did you sense the difference in how New Texas is doing things in a promotion, or is it similar to what AAPW is doing?
It's very different. You know, it's a promotion where they're dealing with like importing talent from that are, you know, from TV and everything like that. And it's not just like a weekly thing. It's a, hey, we have to build this up and we only do this every however many months. You know, now they're running more consistently because they've also got Empire, but like back then it was like maybe every 3 months they would run a thing. So being asked to be on the main New Texas show, not even, you know, just a Contenders, was insane in the first part. But like being told that we were going to win those belts, like New Texas has my heart forever. I've been trying to get back on their Pasadena shows more, just because like I want to support that brand so much. Like I still go to those shows even if I'm not booked, because I just am always going to be thankful to Kiefer and to New Texas for having the faith in us and being really the first major Texas company. Because, you know, we had won tag belts out in a couple of other places, but like the first major one that was bringing in big people to also be like, hey, you guys get our belts. Y'all aren't from here, but like we trust you with these. I think that was just like such an insane thing to me. And that's still one of my favorite matches that we've done. I think like the way we put that together, I think was really fun. And segueing that into the TLC triple threat match that we did.
That's where I was going to head with.
Yeah. And that one was 2 days before my birthday. So I kept on joking of like, hey, if I survive this, I'm going to have a great birthday afterwards.
If not, I'm in the hospital somewhere.
But like because that came about as a result of the New Texas, the reality wrestling people not being able to work the New Texas shows anymore, and kind of them splitting their rosters. And Kiefer was like, "Hey, I need guys. I need I lost some of the guys that were going to be on this card. I need a big main event. I'm thinking TLC match with you guys, Eighth Day Dream Team. And are you willing to do it? I'm scared of heights and scared of weapons in a certain way. And I was like, hey, what am I going to do? Say no?
I don't have a choice.
And, being able to main event that ending up getting voted as, match of the year for New Texas. And just like, I still go back to those clips in that match and just be like, man, that was a really sick time. I got put through a table and it cut open my leg because of how I fell. Danny almost died, but like,
it's wrestling.
It's still such a good memory for me.
Oh my! How many years ago? How long were you a wrestler at that point with the TLC match?
I debuted January 2021, so it was my basically the start of my fourth year of since my debut.
Wow. And how much of that has changed? What were some of those lessons that you've learned as a wrestler and being part of Culture Shock?
I think just finding myself was it's still the journey that's going on. Is I'm not the most athletic person in the world. I can't really do dives. I can't really springboard. I'm not very flippy. But there was a time in practice where I realized that I have this intensity that I can do with strikes and things like that. And so just this entire journey, learning what I can do and how to make the things that I can do into the greatest that I can. And, now hearing people cheering for me, having people come up and tell me that they like what I do. And
that's better than nothing too, for sure.
It's so crazy. And it's never something that I take for granted. I'm just always surprised but really happy of just oh my God, you liked what I do? Thank you. I'm trying my best. But Culture Shock, I think at the tail end as well, really helped solidified that I needed to find out what I do, because I think there was a point where Danny is a very strong personality, and I think we were all Danny's personality is fun. We're going to do that. And so it was three people trying to be Danny O'Ryan and only Danny O'Ryan being able to be Danny O'Ryan. And I started out as Flower Child, like you had said at the top of the show. But for a long time, any of that hippie stuff, I wasn't doing. I was coming out with a flower crown, but that was it. I wasn't doing peace and love. I wasn't doing a little sit out. I wasn't doing anything that you would associate with a hippie. I was just being a little gremlin in Culture Shock.
Yeah.
And so as that was kind of fading out is when I was I really want to reinvent myself a little bit. Nothing, Lovestruck isn't entirely different personality wise from Flower Child. It's just a different presentation of it. But I was I need to find my point of where I'm going to be at.
And when was the indicator that to part ways with Culture Shock? When was that moment? We'll do event wise and then personally. When was that sign of blazing your own trail, doing your own thing, as Culture Shock started to dissipate in the scene?
Yeah, they always used to get on me because, a couple months after starting Culture Shock, I was like, man, once we break up, it's going to be such a cool event afterwards, using that in stories and everything like that. And they're like, why are you trying to break up Culture Shock? already. And it's like, no, 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 it's fine. But like,
It's like,
I,
no, it's kind of like it's just feigning it at that point.
right. It's like, I have always had the mindset of like needing to evolve with wrestling
Okay.
and never sitting in one place for too long and just doing the same thing. You got to evolve some part of your character, or
Right.
else things get stale. And so I always knew that there was going to be an end to Culture Shock, and that we weren't going to be able to do it forever. And we had been doing it for 2.5 years, I think.
That's still
Um,
fairly. That's pretty lengthy too for a fact.
yeah. And 2022 was the first year that we like started going, and then 2023 was like everyone was using Culture Shock all the time. And then I think the big catalyst for me personally was like Danny had his match with Yuya and Inspire, and then he started having more really good matches, and people started catching on to the fact that he's the best wrestler in Texas,
Right.
in my opinion. And there came a point where he was very against the idea of breaking Culture Shock up, and for a long time he was. And I kept on like hinting at like, hey man, you're the best, and I don't want you to not get booked in places or not be used in a certain way because you've got two other guys, and it's like, oh well, we got to use you as a stable, we can't do this, we can't do that, because we got to use you as a stable. And for a while he I feel like he fought that. But 2024 was kind of like a hard year for me wrestling wise. I had like a lot of anxiety come up towards wrestling, and I was still doing shows, but I was like not going to practice. I was like, I felt really plateaued in what I was doing. And I think a lot of that came from what I was just talking about with like feeling like I was just being another Danny, but like a worse Danny in Culture Shock. And like,
Right.
oh man, I'm not doing anything of my own. What even is Oli Summers? And I feel like that definitely came out with that. And so Danny was like, hey, I love you guys, but like, I am doing the best that I can, and I'm doing all this. So let's find a time for this. And the time for it changed and changed and changed. I had just printed a new Culture Shock shirt, and then the next Inspire show, it was like, okay, we're doing this. And I was like, oh, cool. Sick.
It's like, oh, man, what are we gonna do with this?
But like, I think, however I said that, I hope that it came across as the fact that I think it's such a good thing that it happened, because like I said, I didn't want to be any sort of like stop on Danny's meteoric rise, and I wanted the opportunity to branch out on my own and be able to reinvent myself. And I felt like stop capping Culture Shock was the great like point to be that, like, just okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore, and here's the new Oli Summers.
And we're gonna stick to Lovestruck before we even delve to Lovestruck, and with that transition coming into Lovestruck, Oli Summers, like were there any people in your circle that kind of kept you going, ushering into that Lovestruck character when you're trying to figure things out and workshopping leading up to that character?
Yeah, I think just my entire circle is very supportive. So like Danny, Shimbashi, Adam, everything like that. A lot of them come from like sport and like that kind of militaristic background, and I'm very much not like that. So
Right.
a lot of times they can be very like tough whenever they're like giving critiques and stuff like that. But it's all just from a place of love and like wanting you to be the best that you can be. And so whenever I was like, hey, I have ideas for what I want to do, I have like this thing, because I had started doing the hug thing, honestly, like maybe 2023, maybe like late 2022, because I saw someone do it, like a variation of like reversing something and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what if you did that into like a hug? And as hippie at the time, I was like, I can give hugs and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I really took that and just like started thinking of what can I do to like break away from the hippie a little bit, but keep this like super happy, super joyous, but like still a killer.
It's like a
type
hapless
personality.
romantic. That's how I observed it. It's almost like a hapless romantic.
Yeah, it's like I'm just Lovestruck to me is just happy to be alive, happy to be doing what I'm doing. And then also I've got a temper. So like
Yeah.
I'm gonna hug you, I'm gonna do this. And as soon as you start beating me up, I'm not just gonna take that. I'm not like helpless. I'm just positive.
Yeah.
And the moment that you take advantage of that, I go into killer mode. And so I had a bunch of good friends just like help me with that. There was a group chat where I was just like, hey guys, what do you think of these nicknames? And I posted a couple of them and they were like, I really love Lovestruck.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so Lovestruck it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Interesting. Because like you did go back in with Culture Shock at the George de la Isla Memorial Show. I was there actually watching
Mhm.
that night, and to be back in that brief moment as Culture Shock with the opening. The opening was kind of like okay to go back in Culture Shock just this one time. What did it feel like going back into that for a brief moment?
Man, it was interesting because it was so soon after we had broken up. And you know, we were asked to do this because Pops's trainer had passed away, and
Yeah,
it's like, hey, it's just a one night only, and we were like, well, we still want to like, we don't want to just be like, hey, we're back and happy because we're still feuding. Um, and so we kind of like tried to put a little bit of that hesitation into it and the miscommunication into it. But then, you know, we had the one spot where it was like we were fighting each other, but
yeah,
like our natural chemistry made us
right.
still like beat up other people while we were trying to fight each other. And like in that moment, it's definitely like, are we friends again? What's happening here?
No, because I saw the
Um,
spot. You're reaching out and hugging. I'm like, wait a second. It was like a little tick. I'm like, okay, I guess they're back together. And then when Danny's like, I'm like, oh, there it is. That's great.
yeah, yeah. So it was definitely interesting. I you know whenever you have these big breakup things that happen, I think there's always the question of like, oh well, when are they gonna do it again? You know,
Yeah.
down the road once they've like grown and done all this, they can maybe fall back into each other. And so like doing it a couple months afterwards was was interesting for sure, but it was still a fun time.
Yeah, and of course, like you've had, and since Culture Shock dissolved and went on its way, and you're doing your own with the Lovestruck character. You mean you're still, and you mentioned it on the new Texas Austin show where you're still going to be a tag team wrestler. And the one, because that was the only one I remember post Culture Shock was with Natalie Sykes, and to
Mhm.
part with someone different from what you're usually tagged with Danny with Culture Shock. Do you take that approach the same way as you would do it with Culture Shock, or what are some things that are making that's completely your own while partnering with Natalie against the
Mhm.
Dream Team for the New Texas Tag Belts?
Yeah, with Nat, it was really easy because we had joked the first time she was over because my name Ollie and her name Sykes both come from the singer of a band called Bring Me the Horizon. The guy's name is
Wait,
Ollie.
seriously?
Yeah, the guy's name is Ollie Sykes, and that's where we both got our parts of our names.
I'm gonna Google that later. Okay.
And so I had talked to her the first time, and I was like, is your name from that?" And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Me too. We should like team together sometime." And we got two opportunities to do that when she was back here, including the New Texas match. And so it was a nice thing because thankfully we had a practice run before we had that match. And it was just like, honestly, she's really good. And she
Hmm.
was able to just be like, hey, um, this is what I do. This is what you do. This is what they do. We're going to work this out. And I honestly got to just like take the backseat on that and be like, yes, ma'am, we're like,
Yeah.
you rock. We're going to do this. And it makes sense. And it was easy. And like, it, it's funny because there's a guy who used to wrestle who was backstage for that show, and he watched our match and he was like, "Oh, you guys are a really good tag team. You guys have really good tag team chemistry." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. This was our second time ever teaming together. We don't do this." So that was really cool. Like I said, I just love tag team wrestling. So being able to do it at any point, I feel like I can figure out with any partner. And it's just about getting those things across of we're a unit. We're care about each other. We want to help each other. We want to succeed as a group. And I think as long as you have those, especially as a face tag team, it's pretty easy to get people on your side because if they see that you care about each other.
Because the one thing too is because it is a face tag team, but like, what do you deliver as part of a tag team? Like, what are some of your quirks that would make any tag team? Wow, brain does good. What are some quirks that you deliver to someone who is in a tag team, in the tag team match in any show?
Yeah, I think on a technical side of things, like I said, I kind of get tag wrestling, I think, decently and how it works. So like being able to be like, oh, well, this is what you do. I can slot into your things and also still do my stuff and make it a cohesive thing. And then on like a fan perspective, like I was saying, I think just being able to really build up the hope of the match and the crowd reaction. And Dream Team made it also super easy because they're very easy to hate. So being able to
the shortcut way.
it was just such a simple thing to build that up into a situation of, okay, everyone's in their places that they need to be. And so I think being able to do that and understand building up the sympathy and building up the anticipation for cool tag stuff to happen is kind of what I bring to the table in that way.
Yeah, and I should have asked this earlier, but I'll say it anyways. What were some of your tag teams that you look up to for tape or as a fan? Like, what were some of those tag teams that stand out to you, and what moments kind of made you go over for that particular tag team?
Yeah, man, there's so many because I try to watch as much different stuff as possible. Okay. Like one of the things, especially now that I'm helping out more at AAPW, that I tell the like newer people is watch NXT Level Up. It's canceled now, so you get to see all the episodes. But like all these people that are new to wrestling, a lot of them are like athletes. They do one thing. Watch that. I watch a lot of that. I watch a lot of like New Japan Junior Heavyweight stuff. I just try to watch a lot of everything. And so as far as like favorites for tag teams go, I really like Mustache Mountain.
Wow.
I really like anyone that kind of brings the feeling of older tag teams. So like I like FTR. I like Grizzled Young Vets. I like I don't know, just anything where it feels like it is this cohesive back and forth at people flowing in and out and not just a thing of like, okay, I'm doing my thing and then you're doing your thing and then they're doing their thing. I love that flow. American Alpha, also super amazing at that. DIY, Motor City Machine Guns was always the GOATs. When I started watching wrestling was in 2010 and I got TNA and Motor City Machine Guns immediately, their presentation, their speed, their pace, their everything, they are truly the greatest to ever do it.
What was a moment for you that made you go over for a tag team?
Man, there have been so many over, like, I think one of the big ones was definitely the like storyline between the Revival and DIY and NXT. I think they had a series of matches that were just like so impossibly just cool that you're like, oh my god, this can be the coolest thing ever. Especially like on Raw and stuff. When I first started watching wrestling, tag team wrestling was such an afterthought, and it was just like, okay, people are here, but they're just like kind of doing stuff, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And so to see things like being presented as a big deal with tag team wrestling, with that was super super cool. And then similarly, I got really into the feud between Mustache Mountain and Undisputed Era in NXT, which was like a couple of months of just like 3 matches, I think, that were all very similar, but like at different times. And I think seeing the way they structured all of that, from a technical sense, made me just be like, wow, tag team wrestling can be put together in the coolest way possible.
Okay. Well, with the years is underway. I mean, 4 months isn't really. Let's say recent. Like, what are you looking forward to with the year? With the current year, like, what are some of those goals that you still want to attain in your career?
Yeah, I want to get back to a lot of the places that I was doing when I was in Culture Shock. I think that there's 2024 was definitely a reset period, and it was definitely a thing of like figuring out what this new direction was for me. And now that I think that I've got that figured out and I'm very comfortable with where I'm at, both as a singles wrestler and as a tag wrestler, I think getting back to Pride style or, stuff like that in other states, getting back to like main New Texas shows, getting back to United, getting back to, I'm back at Baracho now, just trying to show people like, hey, I took a break for a little bit, but I'm back and I'm a threat. So come get me.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, because now that Culture Shock is kind of like in the wayside, how do you want to pitch to everyone in Texas that I am part of Culture Shock, but I still want to do my own thing as Lovestruck, Oli Summers?
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, I knocked my can. I have my monster right here. Go ahead.
I think the main thing is just proving to everyone that I'm capable. I've started taking my like workouts and my diet more seriously, so my body's getting better. I've like really like honing down on what I do wrestling wise, and I just want any and all opportunities to show that I know what I'm doing and I'm like ready to do it. And like, if I'm going to start a match with giving someone a hug and end it by hitting them in the back of the head, I've got layers, baby. Like, I can do it all.
Might also be like the Shrek of wrestling onions right there.
Yeah. That's the next gimmick.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, we'll quote that on the episode.
Green paint everywhere, big ears. That's me.
This was fun.
Yeah.
We never really got to. It's always every guest that I run into, and I'm like, see ya. But like, to have you on, and I've seen a lot of your stuff lately, and doing things in your own path as a wrestler, whether it's in tag or in singles. I'm glad I got to we had side conversations in AAPW too. We didn't really do like a big deep dive or anything, so this was fun to really dig deep in what you're doing things in your career. So, and more success to your way too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of the things with like show days and just like in general. I'm a very I think passive person in that way, where I'm like, people are probably busy. I don't really want to bother them too much.
You caught me. That's what happened.
Yeah. And I've had to, once again, having someone like Danny as a good model, because he's such a social guy, of just being like, you know what? If I want things, I have to seek them out. So I was just like, hey, we've talked about this. When can I do this? Cool. Let's have a conversation.
Like, sure. Hey, I'll end our conversation with this. And if you're in the same room as an adolescent version of you, in the same room face to face, what would you like to talk to him about?
I think like always the thing is like just keep it on going, and like through good times and bad times and whatever, it's like once you're able to take a step back, it's like life's pretty cool and everything. And I'm doing the coolest thing possibly ever. You know, when I was a kid, from the first time I saw wrestling, which is when I was 12, I was like, this is the only thing that would be cool. Like the idea of having a job forever never appealed to me except for wrestling. And it was always a thing of like, I never had any friends that were into wrestling except online. And like, it was something I didn't really talk about in my like real life because no one was going to be into it. They would just ignore it. And so being able to tell that kid of like, hey, you're gonna do the coolest thing ever. And you're like, people are gonna buy shirts from you. People are like gonna want to take pictures with you. Like not even as a vain thing, but just like this is crazy. Like even on this level, it's just like an impossibly cool thing. And I couldn't be more thankful for it. So I think it's just like hey, stuff sucks sometimes. And whenever you take a step back and think of like, no, this is what I'm doing, then it's like, okay, well, this is the coolest thing ever. So I'm just going to be happy.
I'm going to ask this too, like in your career, what motivates you to keep pushing forward in career and life?
Just honestly, once again, the fact that it's the coolest thing ever.
Okay.
I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. So like, I gotta try my best to make sure that I don't have to do anything else.
Right.
Any kind of success in wrestling to me is just being able to do wrestling. So whatever that ends up looking like, however long I'm able to do this, body wise, financial wise, whatever, I have to try my best because there's nothing else that would be a better alternative.
Okay, awesome. So I have nothing left to give. You have the floor. Where can we find you?
I am on Instagram. Here's where I forget everything. I'm on Instagram at Oli Summers. I'm on Twitter as Oli Summers VS, like versus. I'm on Blue Sky as well at Oli Summers. Those are the main three. I post on Instagram the most. Yeah, come say hi.
There you go. Wait, hold on. I forgot something. I caught this. Where the heck did the Oli come from? Oh,
Australia.
I caught it. I was like, that was the important part of the interview.
Australia, you know. It's so funny because the Aussie oi thing for sports, I had caught on to it. And when I came up with Oli, I thought doing Oli immediately. And it took me until probably a year and a half of actually debuting to when I first did it, when I had the confidence to be like, okay, I'm just going to say this and hope that people also say it.
It did.
Yeah. And yeah, it was funny whenever Robbie Eagles was doing the Inspire show that he did, because he also does an Aussie, oi chant. And thankfully I was not wrestling on that show, so I didn't have to, be like, hey brother, I'm kind of the guy here that does this thing that your culture does.
I'm the gimmick.
Yeah. So, step off, buddy. No, but I'm so happy. And now people just do it without me having to say it. So it's very cool.
It's the machine running at that point.
Yeah.
All right, we got off to this tangent. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening from Spotify, YouTube, and on iHeartRadio. So thank you so much for tuning in. And we're on to the next one.
Bye.